The most asked question I get on this channel is how to grow a small trading account. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how I would approach this in 2025 and how I believe you can go from $500 to $1,000 to over $10,000 in as little as 2 months. I'm going to be showing no gimmicks. I'll be going over all the risk and exactly how I'm going to approach this, because I'm also going to be doing a challenge following exactly what I'm saying in this video, posting it on Twitter, Discord, and making more follow-up videos on the channel as well. So make sure you subscribe. Let's get to work. Before we dive headfirst into what's happening with futures, the charts, everything like that, we have to ask ourselves serious questions, and that's where I want to overall start here. Who are you to start with? And so again, like I said, I'm going to be doing this with you over the next few months. It'll be all tracked. You can follow me on Twitter. We'll go more into that. But these are simple things I think you have to ask yourself before we even start, and if you want to do this seriously, because I'm going to tell you right now, small accounts are much more difficult to grow, right? They take a lot of discipline, and it's a snowball, right? Very slow, small start, and it'll eventually get bigger. And I firmly believe scaling this is not as difficult as we may think. So number one, who are you? Okay, let's talk about schedule. What do I mean by schedule? Do you have a 9 to 5? When can you actually trade? That's what you have to actually be thinking about. I have friends, for instance, that work a 9 to 5, and just because you work a 9 to 5 doesn't mean you can't trade. But what it does mean is how busy or what are you doing during those hours. So if you're not at a computer or you aren't able to actually focus on key moments throughout the day, then it might not be for you, and you might need to reevaluate where you're at. So if you have a 9 to 5, trading options might not be the best move for you. You need to understand that as well. Trading futures might be a better move because you can trade the London session, the Asia market, and even earlier morning sessions as well, pre-market for New York, okay? The next thing, what is your income? Now, for the sake of this video, I say this all the time. I think personally $500 to $1,000 is a small account. I really think going into $3,000 to $5,000 is a pretty small account. But for that $500 to $1,000 range, that's where I'm going to be starting off and showing everything in this video of what I'm doing and showing you that growth from there. But the question of what's your income like, you need to understand if you're just starting with a small account, I don't think money needs to be your number one goal. You're not going to be making $3,000 a week or maybe even your first month. Most likely not going to happen. Someone might lie to you and tell you this. It's a lie. Okay, that's not going to happen. And then the last part is, are you actually taking this serious, or is this, like I said, a get rich quick? Is it going to happen overnight? Because it's not. If you can answer those questions and still say, okay, I can work around it, I'll find the time, I'll do this, I'm going to take it seriously, I don't need to make money immediately, then I think this might be for you and what you should pay more attention to. Now, like I said, for this video, I'm going to be doing futures. I'm going to go more into exactly why. But one of the biggest reasons if you're trading with under $20,000 is the PDT rule. Right? So a regulatory designation for those traders and investors that execute 4 or more day trades over the span of 5 business days using a margin account. What does that mean? Basically, if you're not in a cash account, you can't take as many trades as you want. You'll get locked out and you'll get stuck in positions. Now, if you're trading under $20,000, just go to a cash account. You can get unlimited trades. I don't know why people act like cash accounts are hard to understand, but you still might only be able to take a certain amount of trades throughout the day. Whereas with futures, you can kind of trade unlimited. That's very important to understand, but there's different margin requirements, and then you might want to go through a funded account like we'll explain here in the video. So other things to understand of what we're looking for and why we're going to be doing that, and I'll break it down a little bit further. Okay, so we just discussed what you have to be thinking about and ultimately what you want to be trading. Now, some people might be fixated on options, and I love options, but I think you need more money to get involved there. So in the beginning, I'm going to be looking at futures, and that's how I'm going to be attacking this, especially from the funded viewpoint, and I'll explain all that right now. So I said we're going to go with futures, and I'll explain exactly why, and I'll go over the pros and cons. But the other part here too is explaining how much money you might have, right? Okay, so I think Top Step and my funded futures are the best route. So let me explain the pricing so you understand. I think Top Step is probably the best in the game, realistically, just most reliable. I like my funded futures a lot as well. You look at the price and it seems like my funded futures is more expensive. It is not. It is cheaper, especially with the discounts they have. On my Twitter link, the link down below, you can also use that as well. You'll get 40% off your first account and then 20% off some of the other ones. But again, so you understand that with Starter Plus, right? Now, I want to explain this very simply and very clear. This is 127 minus 20%, whatever you may do there. But again, so you can see what it will be. It'll be cheaper, okay? Top Step, it's a little bit shady, but it's $50 when you sign up, and then once you get funded, you get to pay another $150, so it's $200, so it's more expensive, okay? You can only have 3 accounts on my funded futures, so just understand that, why we're looking at that. Now, if you want to understand more about funded accounts, things like that. I've gone in detail over them, but I want to break things down a little bit more simple so you can understand what we're looking for in this video for the sake of this, right? So I don't want to revisit everything we've already discovered, okay? All right, so pros and cons. Number one, there's no PD2T rule futures. You don't have to worry about margin account, whatever, like just straight stop loss, things like that, right? There's less risk, in my opinion, if you're going with funded accounts, okay? So I'm using funded accounts in this case. So what some of you might understand, like let me break this down pretty simple, okay? You start off with a paper account until you can pass their set of rules. So for in this case, with the starter plus account, your profit target is $3,000 profit. You can only get down to $2,000 of loss. You can only lose $2,000. You have to reset your whole entire account, pay for it all over again. So if you pass that, then you pass and you can start trading with real money. And then you have the split with that money as well. You can withdraw funds every 5 days after you're funded, okay? But there's a set of rules you have to pass, your evaluation rules right here, okay? So you have to understand that as well. Whereas if you're trading with just your own money, they're obviously it's your own risk, but you don't have rules to follow. This is the biggest thing here. So at most of what I'm risking here, just to give you an idea, is $127 if I'm using no discount. But I'm still able to trade with the $50,000 account, right? You have to understand that. And people are like, well, what's happening there? The risk reward. I've gone over how these companies make money. They are designed for you to fail. But if you're diligent, and I'm going to be tracking everything I'm doing as well here on the channel, you guys have seen the withdrawals. And I just posted one also too from Top Step from this past Friday, because for this video, I just wanted to be transparent, just show that like I've actually been taking money out. $4,500 for just 1 week's of work, right? So important to understand that as well, okay? So going back, understanding that. You're not just getting $50,000, you have to prove yourself first, okay? Okay, the next part from this, teaches good habits. Now, yes, you can abuse these systems and go full send and try to get lucky. People do it all the time. However, if you're consistently going to have these accounts, you're going to have to learn good trading strategies, good risk to reward. They're going to teach you good habits, okay? And then futures, in my opinion, are the best for scalping. So if you're looking to get in and get out of trades, futures are superior to everything, in my opinion. Now, if you have more money, I think options could be a great opportunity for you. But with a smaller account, it just doesn't compare. Now, the cons, you won't get paid immediately. Why? So I requested that payout on my Top Step, and then I got paid out like within 24 hours. It wasn't immediate, but still. But you also have to follow those rules, get funded, and all those parameters. So you do have some hoops you have to jump through to prove that you can trade on the funded account. The rules can be hard to get used to. The same rules that teach you good habits are going to be difficult to get used to. I'm going to tell you right now. So understand that. Important to understand. And there's sometimes some caps as well on how much you can withdraw. But think about it this way. If you get to the point where you're reaching a cap on your withdrawal, that's a good problem to have. And eventually you'll be able to withdraw that money either way. So very important to understand that as well. So we've gone over what we should be looking at, how we have to be thinking about it, what we want to trade, why I'm trading that. Now we want to move into how I'm going to be approaching that and the times and efficiencies as well. Now, this is probably the part that everyone wants to look at, and we're going to kind of go over here. Now, for the sake of this, my smaller accounts are always on Top Step. I'm usually more aggressive on Top Step. My MyFunded Futures, Tradeify, things like that. I try to be less aggressive with those accounts, right? I don't have to reset those as much, and they're kind of stricter too with some of their reset policies and maybe even banning you if you abuse the system. So again, I don't want to do that. Top Step hasn't really ever given me any issues. So I'm fine like getting to the point where I can withdraw my money and then resetting, okay? So that's really the goal here. So I'm actually getting 5 accounts funded right now. So let me explain the logic, how expensive this will be, and everything along those lines, because I said I'm going from a $1,000 budget and what I'm going to do. Okay, so I go back to Top Step over here. Okay, so Top Step, I want to earn, or go back here, right? It's $50 for each account when you sign up with them. So I have 5 accounts, the max you can have. And it's going to be another $150 when I get those funded, the payment, however much it costs, right? So it's going to be $200 each account, 200 times 5 is $1,000 total in this. That's going to be my total risk once I get these accounts funded, if I can get them funded on the first try, right? And I'll be tracking this as well as Discord, like I mentioned, links down below if you're interested, but also on Twitter for free, and then also here on YouTube. So important to understand that. I also have live streams coming very soon as well, right? That's going to be what's happening there. So far I'm already halfway funded on this account and on these 5 accounts. So I'm kind of just waiting until we go into Tuesday before I try to get these funded completely, pay for that, etc. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Now from there, my goal is to slowly scale. What I mean by that? I would like to get other platforms set up as well. When I'm looking at it, it's going to be something like Take Profit Trader. I already have my funded futures accounts. I might fully withdraw and reset. We'll see. But my goal is to get from 5 accounts into 10 accounts in a 2-month period, all tracking and trading on the same account. That is the goal. And then from that point, I'm going to see if I can start making at least $1,000 a week across all of them, which I think is a very kind of simple goal. I think it's definitely obtainable for most people. And I think we'll actually we'll pass that within the month period, but that's going to be the overall goal, consistently doing that. And that's how I'm going to approach this, right? I'm not going to be super high risk. I do think when you're in the funded phase, you can be a little bit more risky, but that's the ultimate goal right now. You need to also understand when I'm going over this right here, this is just like 1 week of trading with 50K accounts on Top Step. I want to make that very clear. So it's not out of reach. Okay. This is very obtainable. And I don't like to advertise this because for more people, it might be a little bit confusing or might seem gimmicky. And I don't want that to be the assumption here. But what I will say is this is obtainable. And the other part of this too, again, I'm not trying to promote, say, join Discord or this or that. I see people DMing me and emailing me from success just from watching, our main YouTube or this YouTube, right? But again, we're getting these guys funded as well. And you're seeing just the consistent growth. This kid literally, it's actually funny. Razzles, I'm pretty positive he lives near the greater Houston area and he wanted to work for us for a little bit of time. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. Anyways, but over the past week, this is how much he's made across one account, right? So very important to understand that as well. So multiply that by how many accounts you may have, right? So again, you're seeing futures, but you're also seeing options here. But I just want to demonstrate that this is not just me. This is not just gimmicky. Like it's people that are following this, it's working for them, right? And again, you can do this with not maybe 5 accounts. If you have less money, maybe you only have $500. Just do it with 2 accounts and then scale from there and buy more accounts as you grow. You need to understand it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to. But I'm telling you, you're going to see here on the channel the growth that we're going to have. And I'm going to show you that it's real. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you with too is focusing on one thing. You don't see someone that's a master of everything, usually a master of 1 to 2 things. They perfect it and they get really good at that. And then they might delegate the other things that they aren't really amazing at. And that's really the primary goal of how I'm trading. Find 1 to 2 things that I'm good at, master those things and get as good as I possibly can at those few things, and then use other tools that might be able to help me along the way as well. The thing I want to talk about is the one thing that can improve your strategy. And I didn't want to cover a strategy in this video because I don't want it to seem like you have to do what I do, right? When it comes to scaling your account, I think that's going to be pretty universal, okay? But when it comes to if you use fair value gaps or ICT, I don't use ICT, but you might like that. So whatever you're using, focus on it. Now, I'm not sponsored by TradeZilla. It's just a really cool tool that kind of does all the journaling for you, okay? But you can also do this for free. So I wanted to show 2 options for you. So you have the TradeZilla and you also have Discord. So this is how we kind of format it in Discord for a lot of guys. If you are interested, again, I would just do this for yourself. You can literally go create a free Discord and just do this so only you can see it, or I encourage you to do it with some friends, right? So I encourage people in Discord to do this because when they ask us questions, I can go back over and see exactly why they got in, what went wrong, right? So what I encourage you to do, and TradeZilla just makes this really easy for you so you can get numbers if that's what you want to do. So like if you don't want to pay for a Discord, like pay for like TradeZilla, it's a tax write-off as well, right? But again, have no affiliation. I'll have a link down below. What I recommend doing though is writing why you get in, why you're getting out of a trade. That is it. That's all you really need to do. And then at the end of the week, go back and look at your trades, wins, losses, and then look at the common denominators. What happened? Is there any similarities with all your wins, with all your losses? There most likely will be at least one. And you can identify the flawed structure inside your strategy or refining it as well to find what your weakness is. The biggest thing that I will say, that the biggest problem with anyone and everyone is we try to put each other in a box and we try to assume that we're making the same mistake or that we know all the answers, when in reality, we typically have no idea what the answer usually is, right? But when you're able to go back, identify everything you did, and you can clearly see what's wrong versus what's right, and then what's happened multiple times, you can identify that. And then honestly, you have to be honest with yourself. It's not being honest with me or your mentor or whoever it may be. You have to be honest with yourself that you're actually flawed. You need to get better, and you're able to identify this is exactly what's wrong, and this is exactly what I need to fix and get better at. That's the number one thing I can tell anybody. This is going to be a pretty cool challenge. I'm excited for it. I'll have a lot of videos posted about this. If you have questions, comment down below. This is exactly how I'm going to start doing this. And hopefully we'll be able to grow an options portfolio and an options account from this as well. That's the goal, is to eventually grow this into an options account. So we have 2 different streams. I can take more swing trades on options, and then obviously do a lot of my scalping on futures, and we can demonstrate all the growth overall there as well. I'll explain my next steps in the next video. Have a good one, traders. 2025 looks pretty good.